Hi everyone, before I begin, I have to thank the sponsor of today's video, GtArcade. GtArcade is one of the best hubs for browser and mobile games. These games are also featured on Google Play and Facebook, making it easier than ever to quickly find new fun and exciting games to play like Rangers of Oblivion, Heir of Celestials, League of Angels, and more. Much more. So if you think you'd like to play any of these games, then head over to GtArcade.com and create an account, and also click the link in the description down below to claim your free $10 gift pack. And stay tuned to the end of this video to find out how you could win a $100 Amazon gift card from GtArcade.
You should eat eggs, though, man. You really should. You should eat some animal protein without. I mean, if you oppose the moral aspect of killing an animal, which I totally understand and appreciate, and that's what led me to become a hunter in the first place, is that I was really uncomfortable watching these animal rights videos of factory farming. I thought it was disgusting. I was like, I don't want to participate in this.
So recently, Russell Brand was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and the two got into talking about the ethics of eating meat. And what I found interesting about this talk was that despite Russell Brand being vegan, they both fundamentally agreed with each other that animals are being horribly mistreated to produce our food, so we should look for alternatives. Now, Russell, of course, being vegan, chose to only eat plants as an alternative to eating meat. But Joe, on the other hand, thought that instead of paying other people to brutally murder animals for him, he'll just do it himself. That's a huge improvement, right? God damn it, Keegan, what the hell do you think yous is doing dragging in those muddy boots in the house? Oh, jeez, Mom, sorry. Hey, what the hell, Brandine? It's never okay for you to hit our son. You know full well I'm the only one who can hit him good. See, Brandine, I'm the only one with enough strength to knock him out cold in one hit. The way you do it, you hit him way too many times. And look, I agree that hunting is a more humane practice than factory farming, but at the end of the day, you're taking away the life of a creature that wishes to live. So it's still a morally objectionable practice. But Joe Rogan is trying to convince us that we should feel happy when we kill Bambi's mom.
Yeah, it's reprehensible.
Hunting is a different thing, man. To me, hunting is this intense, it's very spiritual in a way.
Killing innocent animals is spiritual. Joe Rogan, 2019.
I mean, people don't get it because they see you celebrating when it's over, because it's very, very, very difficult to close in on a wild animal.
Yeah, I'd imagine it would be pretty difficult to get close to a wild animal, but that's why rifles were invented. But Joe doesn't always use rifles. Sometimes he uses a bow and arrow. This is what Joe considers ethical and humane. Killing an animal by shooting it with a sharp stick. Honestly, how would you rather die, Joe? Get shot by a high-powered rifle and have almost a 100% guarantee that you'll die pretty much instantly, or have somebody shoot you with a fucking bow and arrow? ISIS sometimes executes their prisoners more quickly and humanely than Joe Rogan hunts, but Joe calls this ethical.
What are you hunting?
Mostly elk. Well, elk's my favorite for two reasons. One, it's very delicious, super nutritious. Also, if I shoot one elk, I can eat it for like 8 months.
What are you doing, freezing them, salting them?
Yeah, freezing them.
The same excuses Joe is using to hunt elk could also be used to justify hunting humans. Apparently, humans taste really good. According to cannibals, humans taste like really sweet pork. I'd also imagine humans are really nutritious too. People have all the nutrients that people need since they are people. And you can also make a human being last long. You can either do what they did in the road and don't eat them all at once, or you can suck on them so they last longer.
Of nature.
Yeah,
oh
so
my
that's
God.
an elk.
Now, the thing is with me, I see that elk there, and I sort of feel like a sort of, I've watched too much Disney.
Yeah.
You know, like I see that elk and I feel like I'm Bambi, literally. You know, and I don't have it. Like, is that early in the morning? You look tired. Not tired.
Might be late afternoon, actually.
Can you tell
think that was late afternoon. Yeah.
Like, say, like I from that position, I couldn't. Like, I would love the game of being able to aim, because actually I've had to go down gun ranges. It turns out I'm a pretty good shot. You know, it's nice to see that thing come back with like holes around its abdomen and its head.
Right.
And I think satisfied. There, you've been dealt with, paper man. But like the elk, I've got too much empathy in me that I couldn't deal with the feeling of after it was shot. I like almost thinking about it, the sentimentality of it. I've sentimentalized it now. You know, at least I don't eat meat and stuff like that.
Wow, it almost sounds like Russel Brand has a conscience and he doesn't want to cause unnecessary harm to another living creature. Well, don't worry, Russell. Joe is using some really sharp sticks.
So what, in your head, when you're doing it, when you're pulling the trigger, you're not having, what's going on in your mind?
Well, you only are hunting these mature animals that have already passed on their genes.
Mature animal that has passed on their genes. Well, you're over 40 and you've had children, so it sounds like you're describing yourself there, Joe. Is it okay for me to hunt you? So this is the fundamental problem with Joe Rogan's arguments for hunting. All of his excuses for, why he thinks it's morally acceptable to hunt and kill animals, well, all of those excuses could also be used to hunt and kill human beings. So what Joe has to do here is name the trait. Name the trait or even set of traits that are lacking in animals that makes it morally acceptable to kill animals. But in order to be logically consistent here, if a human were to also lack these traits, then that would also mean it is morally acceptable to hunt and kill that human. So, for example, if Joe were to say, oh, well, these animals, they're not intelligent enough to deserve a right to life, so it's okay to kill them. Well, okay, if a human being were to also lack that trait, lack the trait of intelligence, and they were no smarter than the elk he kills, well, does Joe Rogan think it's okay to hunt and kill like mentally disabled people? So that's essentially what name the trait is. Joe Rogan has to name the trait to stop making this logical contradiction, because so far all Joe has done is made excuses that also could be applied to humans. And I'd love to directly debate Joe Rogan on veganism. If you're ever looking for a veganism debate on your podcast, then I'm your guy. Seems like a topic you're interested in because you talk about it a lot. So if you ever want to discuss veganism and animal ethics with me, just send me a message on Twitter or message me through my business email, businessvegangains@gmail.com. And also be sure to just give some good thought into the name the trait argument.
You also are recognizing that if you're not killing these things, it's not like they're going to live forever.
Right.
They live a short life with a very violent death. It's either wolves or mountain lions or bears or something's going to take them out.
I'm not sure if Joe realized this, but he just gave justification to hunt and murder tribespeople. In some circumstances, warfare accounted for more than half of all deaths in some tribal societies. So, did that make it okay for the Europeans and Spanish to commit genocide against the Aboriginal people? Because it's not like they were going to live long anyway? So this is why it's important to name the trait. If you don't name a trait that is only lacking in animals, then what you're going to end up doing is justifying human tragedies.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is essentially dipping your toe into the natural world.
It would be a stretch to say you're dipping your sharp stick into the natural world.
And I've heard the argument that, well, this is ridiculous because everyone can't do that. If everyone went out and hunted all the animals, there would be no animals left, which is true. But I'm not everyone. And so I don't,
You can't really use that if everyone did it argument.
It's a good argument because if you're encouraging people to hunt, it is kind of a good argument because it's not realistic. It's not sustainable. But the other thing to recognize is that the reason why most of this wildlife exists in the first place, a lot of it was wiped out in the early 20th century from what they call market hunting. In the late 19th century, early 20th century, they didn't have refrigeration, and it was hard to get food, and we didn't have the same sort of large-scale agriculture that we have today. And so when someone would want meat, you would either have to hunt it for you, and you would go to the market and get that hunted food, or you would go out and do it yourself. And they basically wiped out most of the wildlife in North America to the point of extinction. Whitetail, deer, elk, they've been extirpated from the majority of their range in North America and only been replaced in a few other places. But the places where they've been replaced, it's all through money that was generated through hunting tags.
So Joe admitted that hunting is not a sustainable source of food for the vast majority of the population, and unregulated hunting nearly wiped out entire species, but then he claimed it's still a good thing that he hunts because it helps provide funding for conservation efforts, preventing species from becoming extinct. Well, all you're doing there is making a sustainable genocide. You can make the argument that modern hunting regulations make the practice sustainable, but why would you want to sustainably kill millions of animals? I think the goal should be to just not kill animals?
Narlin, I think you're hitting Keegan just a little too hard. Well, what do you mean? Is he dead? As long as he's not dead, I can just keep hitting him.
So again, the main problem with Joe's excuses for why he thinks it's morally acceptable to hunt and kill animals is that these same excuses can be used to justify hunting and killing people. So in order to be logically consistent with his reasoning, Joe has to name the trait. Name a trait or set of traits that are lacking in animals that would justify hunting and killing these animals. But in order to be logically consistent, Joe would also have to agree that if a human being were to lack these same traits, like intelligence, for instance, then it would be okay to hunt and kill a human that lacked those same traits. So I am interested in debating Joe on this topic. Again, vegan ethics seems to be a topic Joe is interested in. So if he wants to have a debate with me, he can either just DM me on Twitter or send an email to my business email. My advice for Joe is just think about the name the trait argument. Think about what traits are unique to humans that animals lack that justifies killing animals. And I hope you all enjoyed this video, and also be sure to check out GtArcade to play some great games, and GtArcade is giving away 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Check out the hashtag GtArcade topic discussion in the description to find out how you can enter and win.